Hi everyone. Thank you, really, thank you to be here, to stay here for this panel. I know this is a long day, and we try to make sure that we go to short versions of the talks to make sure that you can go as soon as possible when we finish to great beers all together. So thank you still for being here, even if I know you're already tired. We'll talk about scaling teams, and we'll try to give to leaders here, to CTOs, to IT managers, to directors, concrete tips to upgrade and to evolve their way of scaling teams. So first, just to begin, scaling teams is one of the three main pain points for tech entrepreneurs. This is clearly a subject that you can ask to any CTO and any founder. We will be one of the best, the biggest challenges. And when we talk about scaling teams, there is two subjects who are coming. The first one is about recruitment. The second one is about culture. There is the two main subjects to unlock to make you powerful the way you scale teams. So today I'm with three great guys, and we'll talk about these two topics. So maybe I will introduce you quickly, or you want to introduce yourself as you want. Well, I will do it quickly so we can jump in the subject. So I'm with Nader, who just come from Berlin, and who's working, who co-founded and is VP of engineering in Free Your Mind startup. There are 65 people and 20 developers over there, and they grow very fast. Jean is co-founder and CPO and CTO in a HR tech startup called Brigade. It's a French startup, very successful, around 70 employees, and there will be more than 100 at the end of the year. And Florian is a French guy and worked a lot in the Silicon Valley. He was on the 10 first employees at Box.com in the Silicon Valley, the first developer, the first engineer. So he saw the company grow from 1 tech people to 300 tech people, and until 1 or 2,000 people in global way. He also now is an advisor for the families, French accelerator, and is helping as an interim CTO in different startups. So it's great to have this free feedback to see how we can know how to unlock these two problems. So beginning by the recruitment. The recruitment, there's 3 pillars. The candidate acquisition, the pipeline of candidates, the employer brand, which is extremely important if you want to attract people, and the recruitment processes. And usually, it's extremely difficult to have the exact secret sauce to make it work. So with your feedback, guys, it will be interesting to know how did you do with that. For example, Jean, regarding the candidate pipeline, how did you work about that?
It works. Does it work? Yeah. Hi everyone. So one of the key challenge when you hire in a high growth and you need to hire a lot of people very fast is how you build a qualitative pipeline of candidates. So one of the main thing we do at Brigade is we basically go where developers are. So we try to be as much as visible as we can. So we go to a lot of different tech communities, tech events, such as this one. We build some of them. We do open source. We're very active on GitHub, and you need to connect with developers. And why specifically go to tech communities is because as a very fast-growing company, you're looking for very passionate people, very engaged, that really want to dig into very exciting technologies. And tech communities are the best place to find such people. So we need to be right there, over there, just not to sponsor events, but to create them, to animate communities, and to really advance some time and efforts. As an example, I could say that we are one of the core contributors of React Native. We choose this technology to build our mobile application like 3 years ago. So we could gain a lot of experiences on this technology. And now we organize some workshop, especially in Lille, where we have a tech center over there. And yeah, it's a great way to build a pipeline.
That's great. So you need a strong credibility to make it work with your visibility, because being visible could be just spending money and being sponsors. Is it enough, or do you need something more to make it work?
No, it needs to be really at the very core value of your technical team. You know, we all use a lot of open source programs, and so it's part of our responsibility as tech companies to participate and even to build some of them. And it goes above that because you need to make people grow. So we love to share our feedbacks and our success and even our failures. It's even better during tech events. And usually you can start some great discussions with very passionate engineers.
Awesome. So Nader, on your side, you have a great feedback about your recent experience. You had a team who did not succeed to be very powerful in terms of recruitment, and you decided to change everything and to analyze what was the problem and how to resolve it. What is your feedback around that?
So I start off with a quick story that happened a bit less than a year ago. Our company was made up of back-end developers and front-end developers, not full-stack developers. And on 1 month, 2 front-end developers left. It caused a huge problem because we had such a huge lack in front-end development before us. So we went into firefighting mode and went through the hiring process into a lot of candidates. And we finally started finding some good front-end developers. They joined the team, but we realized we never want to go into this problem again. So the way to fix it, we decided that everyone can specialize in back-end or front-end, but they need to do full stack. They need to be able to not be blocked if they need to do something in front-end and they're specializing in back-end. That was step 1. Step 2 was making sure that we have enough developers early on, not waiting until we are in problems or we are really in need of a developer, then deciding to hire. In 2 ways. One is measuring risk, figuring out who are people that are at risk of leaving, and making sure that you are opening up these positions to hire people if you are not able to fix it in any way. That is the risk. Much better to fix it than to hire someone else. And 2 is to build a great hiring process, one that works very, very efficiently and gets us the right type of talent. Because another problem we had was a lack of senior developers. Most of the developers were either junior or mid-level. So we went into moving our hiring process from one that takes 7 to 8 weeks to one that takes usually 1 week now, or maximum 2. And here's the old one. We started off with, first off, only getting applications through the website or through other recruitment platforms, not targeting people. That was the first mistake. The second mistake that we made is that we started off by first doing a first call with the HR manager as well as a tech person, doing both an HR interview and a tech interview, then sending a homework task to test architectural skills, which candidates usually responded to in a minimum of 1 week, realistically around 2 weeks, then do a 1.5-hour live coding interview where we tested refactoring and ability to problem solve. Then if the developer was a senior, we invited him for a test day, or her for a test day. Now, we do it completely differently. We post almost no positions on our website. Very few, specifically if it's like a principal engineer position that is extremely hard to find, then we post it. And instead, we go onto platforms like Talent.io, well, not like we specifically go on Talent.io, and target developers. We tested out all of the platforms out there and had the highest success rate with Talent.io, actually. And we target developers, but when we're targeting, we check multiple things. One is the tech side. So the developer has to have either a high reputation on Stack Overflow or good GitHub account that we can see their code, we can see proof that they're actually people that will be suitable for us, or have extensive experience in a startup or a company that we know they have good developers. After that, we check their description and to check the cultural match. Of course, you can tell very little, but you can sometimes at least tell the big no-nos. After we do that, we immediately send a very, very long and detailed message in which we do not try to be nice and friendly. We try to tell facts, both positive and negative. We try to tell exactly numbers, how many developers we have, how many are senior, which clients do we work with, what do we do, what are our products, what are we looking for in this candidate that will join us, what is positive about us and what is negative about us. We are, in our case, for instance, we are looking for people who build very, very readable code, but are not that interested in extremely complex code that has millisecond improvements, just because we don't need that. Of course, depending on your case, you should state exactly what you need. After we send this message, which we also explain in it in details, what is the hiring process that we go through if they're interested, we started getting a very, very high response rate. More than 90% response rate on every message that we send, and we send a lot. Then we go into a single call with a single person. That person does both HR and tech interview. This allows the candidate to feel much more relaxed because it's not 2-on-1, it's 1-on-1, and allows the interviewer to start and try to build rapport with this candidate. We are very chilled about the interview process. If he doesn't know the answer to one question, we tell him it does not matter. No one knows everything. We go into another question. We go into a different one. Because when someone is relaxed, you can really see who they are. You can properly evaluate whether they are a good fit for you or not. And they can properly evaluate whether you are a good fit for them or not. I'll finish in one more minute, I know.
No, that's a great experience.
And once we are done with that call, we immediately invite them to a test day inside of that call. So at the end of this call, we either say, I'm sorry, we don't think we are going to be a good fit because of 1, 2, 3, 4, or we think you are going to be a good fit. We would like to invite you for a test day tomorrow. Not always possible, but this is what we push for. In the test day, they do all of the tasks, so the architectural task, the refactoring task, the problem-solving task, and talk to at least, or we try to talk to at least 5 different people in the company, preferably from different departments. So developers, the CEO, product owners, the VP of engineering, CTO. And after the end of that day, we try, while the person is still in the office, get the feedback from all the people who talk to him. If all of them give him a thumbs up, not a single one can give him a thumbs down, and he does well on the tasks, we give him an offer immediately on the spot. Sometimes we don't have enough time to evaluate on the same hour or on the same moment that he's still in the office, but we try to evaluate on the same day always and send an offer on the same day. And this moved the hiring process dramatically. And in the past few months, we hired 8 developers, 7 of which started. All are divided between seniors, mid-levels, juniors, and interns, and all seem to be amazing fits for us so far.
That's great experience. Thank you, Nader. So it's interesting to see how you reshaped completely the recruitment process and the candidate acquisition strategy, and how in detail you show that going to detail create an impact on the success on this. And thank you also, Jean, for the point regarding the visibility and the employer brand, which is key actually to make it work. As we are short of time, I will directly go to the culture part, and we'll really be happy to have the feedback of Flo for this one. You saw how big is the competition for talent in Silicon Valley, which is absolutely unbelievable. And you also saw probably the difference of cultures and impact of cultures in different countries. What did you learn from that, and what should be for you the perfect culture?
Okay, so the perfect culture, you will not find this, but you have, of course, you have a radical culture and a very specific and explicit culture, but I think everyone agrees on this, and every cool startup right now has values, company values. The issue is that people don't embed those values really in the entire life cycle process of candidates. And the way you really use culture and values is you design your interview process with values. So on your career webpage, you should have your values and really have great feeling about what it means to work in your company. Then you design interview questions to test some specific values, but really one by one. I know Algolia, for example, they do this. And after this, during your onboarding and your trial period, you base everything around values. And of course, later for performance management and promotion, you base on values. So concretely, what could it be? For example, at Box, we valued communication and the fact that we'll take opinion for different people as something very important. So during the interview, we'll test how good people were at being interested in communication. So we gave like a very difficult puzzle on the whiteboard, and you will see people that will try to solve all by themselves and tell, okay, no, I will find a solution, just 2 more minutes. And people that were like, actually, like, do you,
If
you have
team
some,
up,
yeah,
we can
exactly.
find a way to
I see that you
resolve.
want to help me, so I will use your help. A great thing that people do right now is to do scorecards, you know, like the book Who, about how you describe what you are looking for in a candidate. And people then generally stop with this. One thing that a few startups do and that's very helpful is that from this description of the role and the expectation, you write a document, a one-pager, a Google Doc. And the first day people arrive at your company, say, hey, welcome. It's the beginning of a 3-month trial period. Here is how you're going to be evaluated. And you're going to have stuff about delivery, performance, and culture. And at the end of the first week, as a manager, I will give you feedback on this. Hey, on collaboration, you are 10 on 10. It's great what you did here. On delivery, you are 3 out of 10. It was not fast enough. You should fix it. And you should have this conversation about performance from the beginning. And the goal is to be 10 out of 10 at the end of the 3-month period. But every week, people should know where you go. And to design your onboarding, people are great at creating a process of 1 week where you will discover every part of the company. You talk to marketing, whatever, sales and stuff. But you should design the project you give to people based on your values. For example, if you have a value about delivery and really like execution, have a 1-day project that you should finish like in the first week to really test this. If you have collaboration, you should have 1 project that takes 2 weeks to complete that require to talk to different people from department. If you have problem solving, difficult problem solving as one value, you should have a 1 or 2 months problem that is very hard to fix and that should be evaluated during the trial period. So onboarding from beginning to end, all about values.
Awesome. And Jean, when we talked this afternoon, you told me that onboarding is extremely important, like Flo said, but onboarding should not be boring. This is what you said.
Yeah.
How?
So how? Yeah. Especially the first week, as we discussed earlier on. Actually, the purpose of the onboarding, especially at the first week, is very important because, as Florence said, like you need to meet all the team and stuff, but you really need to understand where you are, what the team is fighting for, what's the company vision, what's the values, culture, and everything. So basically for a tech guy in our company, like either developers, lead developers, and so on, he doesn't touch a keyboard for the first week. Why? Because first he will make few interviews with different managers, even C-level, to speak about, okay, what we do at Brigade, because we have a very impactful mission for our users. We basically change the ways they work and the ways they earn money in the hospitality industry. So first, he needs to perfectly understand what are our core values, why do we do that, things that way, and after, you need to understand how it works. So it will basically speak with all the different managers for all the service, because after, like being able to say, okay, I understood the mission and I understood the values and everything, you need to say, okay, I know how the team works here. I know what the challenges of the company is this year on each of the different team. And in a fast-growing company, as you said earlier on, we will hire more than 30 people this year. And it's very important to keep your culture, your values, and the same kind of energy. Like people need to be energized. And the best way to make them energized is to understand that you are in a very cool company with a very interesting mission, and there is a huge challenge in front of us. And so the first week is really about not like, okay, we hired you, so no, let's start working together. It's not you need to really understand that you're in some kind of a rocket right now, and you need to take your seat, take the time to speak with everybody, and after that, you will have a technical onboarding and so on.
Pretty clear. Okay, that's pretty interesting. To add one thing regarding the not boring onboarding, the powerful onboarding. I can add the experience we had with Talent.io. We built a company from 1 to 140 people now in 4 years. And it's a very difficult situation because we are in 4 different countries. So it's very difficult to build a strong culture when you're not centralized. So we decided to create something we call the Talent University and every 3 months we have all new employees who come to Paris for 3 days courses, meeting, training, understanding every single part and department of the company, and also, as you said, Flo, building exercises around the main values. So yeah, it's around the same point too. So I will conclude here as we are still short of time. Thank you very much. If I have to keep just 1 or 2 key points, on the recruitment side, find a secret sauce on every single pillars, candidate acquisition, by visibility, by employer brand, by every single details, by choosing your platforms too. Recruitment processes and employer brand are the 3 key points to work on extremely frequently to make sure that you have the impact you need on your recruitment strategy. And on the culture side, of course, the point who always come back is creating the values with great way and with feedbacks and the onboarding. So thank you guys for helping us on this. Don't hesitate to go to see them this evening with a beer or whatever for any question regarding scaling teams. I'm sure we will have a lot of interesting answers. Thank you.